Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about problem solving, and we're going to also continue talking about time. So, when you are problem solving, you are going to always look to try to find a strategy that best suits that problem that you're going to answer. So, whatever one works the best. So, today our strategy is going to be find a pattern. Now, even though that's our strategy, that doesn't mean that every single time I have to find a pattern. It's just that it's a suggestion that it's a possibility that this is a good way to figure the problem out. So let's take a look at the very first problem. It says, the buses leave in order every half hour. Bus 1 leaves at 9:30. Bus 2 leaves at 10 o'clock. What time do buses 3 and 4 leave? So the first part of this, they want us to understand what we're doing, and we're going to underline what you know. What do we know? Make sure you have your book and your pencil ready to go on page 605. It says we have to underline what we know. What do we know in this problem? We know that the buses leave in order every half hour, so let's underline that. We also know that bus 1 leaves at 9:30 and bus 2 leaves at 10. Now it says to circle what you need to find. That's what's left. What time do buses 3 and 4 leave? So go ahead and underline and circle those parts of the problem. So your page should look something like my page, where I have underlined the information that we know and circled what our question is and what we need to find out. So our plan is how we're going to solve the problem. Well, we've decided that right now we're going to find a pattern. We're going to solve this. So the first bus starts at 9:30. So let's get over here on our clock and get it set to 9:30. Remember, this is the minute hand. This is the hour hand. This is our analog clock. And remember, we kind of talked about the other day with it being a pizza. So here's that pizza, and half of the pizza, half of the clock face is that it is 30 minutes out of the whole 60 minutes of the hour. So back to this, it says 9:30 bus 1 leaves, and they leave every half an hour. So 9:30, and then we move a half of an hour. This is bus 2. So bus 2 is leaving at 10. So bus 3 would be, what time is this? Should be 10:30. And bus 4 should be another half hour, 11 o'clock. So on your paper, you should trace 10:30 and 11 o'clock. Now, number 4 is something that we really need to make sure that we're understanding is check, is my answer even reasonable? Does it even make sense? What if I decided that bus 4 was going to leave at 1:30? Does 1:30 even make any sense? None of those times are even close to 1:30. So we need to make sure after we've solved our problem that each time we check and look to see if the number is reasonable, if the answer is reasonable. Okay, we're going to go to page 606 now. We're going to practice our strategy. It says each class at school will go to recess 30 minutes after the other. The first class goes to recess at 1 o'clock. What time does the fourth class go? So our first step is to underline what you know and circle what you need to find. Go ahead and do that. Put me on pause and give that a try. Okay, so here is mine. Oh, my lines went all crazy. Remember, mine are on the computer, and so it's not exactly the best of lines. So just try your best. So the Few lines should be underlined. Each class at school will go to recess 30 minutes after the other, should be underlined. And the first class goes to recess at 1 o'clock, should be underlined. Then you should be circling what time will the fourth class go. All right, now we need to figure out how we're going to solve the problem. I think I'm using my clock. Don't you think that that probably would be an easy way to figure it out? So the first class goes to recess at 1 o'clock. So we already know that information. So put 1 o'clock in this first line. The first class goes at 1 o'clock. Then it says that everyone else goes 30 minutes after. So if we are at 1 o'clock, let me get my clock set here. And 30 minutes after 1 o'clock, so I'm going to take my minute hand and bring it down here and go 30 minutes. What time is this? 1:30. So our second line, class 2, will go at 1:30. All right, next is class 3. So we're going another half hour. So it should be, what time do you think? 2 o'clock. You are right, I hope. So in class number 3, it should say 2 o'clock right here. And then in class 4, they're going to go another half hour. So we're going to take our minute hand and go another half hour. And it should be, what time does this say? 2:30. So it should say 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30. Ooh, sorry. So number 4 says, is my answer reasonable? Do you think that's reasonable? Yes or no? I say yes because all of the hours and the minutes are all a half an hour after each other. All right, let's try to go to page 607. It says apply the strategy, find a pattern to solve, and use the space provided. Number 1, in the morning, Mrs. White's students change activities every hour. Reading starts at 8:30. Her students go to 3 more activities. When do each of the activities start? So first we're going to underline the information that we know and circle what our question is. Put me on pause and do that first, please. All right, so this is what yours should look like. Don't mind my crazy wiggly lines, but in the morning, Mrs. White's students change activities every hour. Reading starts at 8:30. Her students go to 3 more activities. When do each of the activities start? So they change it every hour. So the first one is at 8:30. What time do you think the second class change would be? All right, let's go over to our clock and we are at 8:30. Whoa. Here's 8:30. We have to go a whole hour. So we're going to go a whole hour all the way around the clock. Tell me what time this says. If you said 9:30, you are correct. So we're going to write 9:30 on this first line. What do you think might be the next 2? Let's go back over to that interactive clock. Here's 9:30. We're going to go a whole nother hour. What time does that say? There's the hour hand and the minute hand. It should say 10:30. So 10:30. Now I'd like you to try this one all on your own. See what you get. I'll show you the clock. Oops. We're at 10:30 and we're going to go all the way around another hour. What time is that? Looking at the hour hand and the minute hand. It should be 11:30. Whoa, that's a crazy 3. Don't make your 3 as crazy as I did. So we have 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30. The fourth thing that remember on our steps is to make sure our answer is reasonable. And I think our answer is reasonable. Look, it follows that pattern. It doesn't have like 2:30 or 6:30 where there's something that's kind of very different than what we should have on our lines. All right, let's look at the next one. Here we go. Number 2, students start work in learning stations at 10:30. After 2 hours, they go to recess. What time do they go to recess? Now, I've already done the lines for this one for you, so you can just copy what I've done. All of the information that is highlighted down at the bottom is the question that they're asking, the information that they want to know, and the underline is what we do know. So they're going to work for 2 hours of work and they're starting at 10:30. So let's start at 10:30. All right, now we have to go 2 hours, not just 1 hour. This is 1 hour, but now we have to go a whole nother hour. Who knows what time this is? Where's the hour hand pointing to? What hour are we in? And where is the minute hand pointing to? What minute are we in, or minutes are we in? If you said 12:30, you are correct. So our answer for this story problem is 12:30, because that is 2 hours after 10:30. And I think that answer is pretty reasonable. Let's take a look at number 3 or 4? 3. Oops. I'd like you to go ahead and listen to me read this. And as I'm reading it, I want you to underline the information we know and circle the words that are the information that we don't know or we need to find the answer for. In the afternoon, Ms. White's students change activities every half hour. Math starts at 1 o'clock. Writing starts after math. What time will writing start? This is kind of a tricky one. So we're going to underline the things that we know. So we know all about this. We know that the activities change every half an hour, and that math starts at 1 o'clock. We don't know. Oh, I forgot one thing. We also know that writing starts after math. And we know what time, we want to know what time will writing start. Okay, so Mrs. White's students change their activities every half hour. Math starts at 1 o'clock, so I have the 1 o'clock right here. And we are going to, writing starts after math. So if I go a half an hour after 1 o'clock, what time will writing class start? So if I go a half an hour, what time will that start? If you said 1:30, you are correct. So back over here, we're going to write 1:30. Look at that sparkly writing. Okay, I want to let you know that today I must have talked a lot. So I don't have a lot of time left with you today on my recording. So I might not be able to get through all of the problems on page 608. I'll get through as many as I can, but I would like you to try to complete them on your own. All right. Also, I want to show you quickly, this is the only choice you have for homework today. You do not have any choices out of the packet. So either you have to do page 6:09 and 6:10 for homework today. So those, like the other 2 days, we had some choices, but today we don't. So those are your homework pieces. And let's get started with number 4. We'll try to get as far as we can.